Today a salvation come to the world. Let us sing to him who rose from the dead, the author of our life. Having destroyed death by death, he has given us the victory.
Welcome everyone to today's class. It's on the conception of the forerunner of Christ, John. And of course it would be found in the very beginning of the gospel. It's the Gospel of Luke, chapter 1, verses 1 to 25. And here we are told about the appearance of the angel of the Lord to the priest Zachariah during his service time in the temple. The angel predicted the birth of Zachariah's son in this chapter, and his name was to be John, who will be great before the Lord. The angel told about the punishment also of Zachariah with silence for unbelief, and about the conception of his wife Elizabeth. King Herod, who is mentioned here, was a Jew by birth, the son of Antipater, who under Hyrcanus, the last of the Maccabean family, took over the affairs of Judea. From Rome, he received a royal title. Although he was a proselyte, the Jews didn't consider him their own, and his reign was precisely the taking away of the scepter from Judah, after which the Messiah was to appear. See the prophecy in Genesis chapter 49, verse 10. The priests here were divided by King David into 24 sections, and Abijah was placed at the head of one of them. Zachariah was counted among this section. His wife Elizabeth also came from a priestly family. Although both of them were distinguished by true righteousness, they were childless. And this, you know, was considered by the Jews to be God's punishment for sins. Each turn held its service in the temple twice a year for 1 week, and the priests distributed their duties among themselves by lot. You know, they just picked out who was going to be serving at that particular time. Zachariah had the lot to perform incense, for which he entered the second part of the Jerusalem temple called the holy place or the sanctuary. That's where the incense altar, the altar of incense, was located. Just before the veil, it billows up with the smoke of the incense right before the inner veil which leads into the Holy of Holies. So he did this while all the people were praying out in the open part of the temple, which is called the courtyard. So entering the sanctuary, Zachariah saw an angel, and he was attacked by fear, maybe because, according to Jewish concepts, the appearance of an angel foreshadowed the imminent death. So he was certainly afraid, if this was the Jewish concept, when you saw an angel, that you were about to die. So the angel comforted him, saying that his prayer had been heard, and his wife would bear him a son who would be great before the Lord. It's difficult to imagine that Zacharias, being so old with his wife, and even at such a solemn moment of worship, with his righteousness, would have prayed for the gift of a son, a child. Obviously, he, as one of the best people of that time, strenuously prayed to God for the imminent coming of the kingdom of the Messiah. And it was about this prayer that the angel said that it was heard. And so his prayer received a high reward. Not only was his sorrowful infertility resolved, but his son would be the forerunner of the Messiah, whose arrival he had been so intensely waiting for. His son will surpass everyone with his extraordinary strict abstinence, and he will be filled with grace, giving gifts from the Holy Spirit. He will have to prepare. His mission was to prepare the Jewish people for the coming of the Messiah, which he will do by preaching about repentance and correcting life and turning many of the children of Israel to God, who only formally worshiped Jehovah, but who were far removed from him in their hearts and in their lives. To do this, he will be given the spirit and power of the prophet Elijah, whom he will resemble with his ardent zeal, strict ascetic life, preaching repentance and exposing impiety. He will have to call the Jews out of the abyss of their moral fall, restoring the love for their children to their hearts of the parents. And he will confirm those who resist the right hand of the Lord in the way of thinking of the righteous. Zacharias did not believe the angel because he was too old to hope for posterity like his wife, and he asked for a sign from the angel as proof of the truth of his words. To dispel Zacharias' doubts, the angel gives the name of the son. Angel gives his own name to Zachariah. He is Gabriel, which means power of God, the same one who also announced to the prophet Daniel about the time of the coming of the Messiah, specifying the dates in weeks. Remember in Daniel chapter 9, verses 21 to 27. But for unbelief, Zachariah is punished by dumbness and apparently at the same time deafness, since they then explained to him by sign language. Usually the incense did not last long while he was in the temple serving his tithe. And the people were surprised at Zachariah's slowness in the sanctuary, but they realized that he had had a vision when he began to explain himself by signs. It is remarkable that the mute Zachariah did not leave his turn, but continued his ministry to the end. And his wife Elizabeth, after his return home, really conceived, but she hid it for 5 months, fearing that people might not believe it and ridicule her. And she was happy in her heart and thanked God for removing the reproach from her. This is the conception of Saint John the Baptist and is celebrated on September 23rd of the old calendar. Thank you for joining us in our class today. See you next time. Bye.